No one knows Jim Host. He's a piece of work.
He'd do anything he could to help a friend or help anybody.
He's a compassionate person. If he's your friend, he's a friend for life.
He truly is kind of a Kentucky legend.
You look at the convention center in Lexington, you look at the horse park, you look at the Yum Center.
The World Equestrian Games was gigantic.
I don't think Rupp Arena would have been built if it hadn't been for Jim.
Jim, by far, is the godfather of college sports marketing.
It wasn't just sports, it was also the arts.
He's had his fingers in so many different things. He really is a true pioneer.
Easily one of the most influential figures in college sports.
And you talk about a game changer. Think about Jim Host. He's certainly a game changer.
Funding for this program is made possible in part by the KET Endowment for Kentucky Productions.
Jim Host's first love was baseball, a game that demands discipline and determination, an unwavering will to win, and a selfless commitment to the advancement of others. These same qualities would define Jim Host and his extraordinary career. Wolford James Host was born November 23, 1937, in Kane, Pennsylvania. By the time his family moved to Ashland, Kentucky in 1950, Jim's love of baseball was already laying a foundation for his future.
Well, I had an insatiable desire for statistics, and I kept every baseball picture of every Major League Baseball player that I could find. So I was always a statistical nut, and I was always a sports nut as a result. So it didn't make any difference what sport it was. I understood it, knew it, loved baseball, and I think that had a lot to do with how I got started in business as well.
In 1953, I transferred to Ashland High School from a smaller school. It was a huge school. I was scared to death. Went around, sat in the back so nobody'd see me, staring straight ahead, and this big hand comes across the aisle. My name is Jim Host. He was just so friendly and helpful, and when he found out I was alone there, he asked me to come down and have lunch with some of his friends and him, and we did that every day after that. He was president of the class, president of student government. Everybody knew Jim Host, so if he introduced you, then they listened. He had his picture in the paper that week in his baseball uniform. And I said, "Oh, you play baseball?" Well, I'd made a friend for life, I guess.
Really understanding sports helped me understand business, which meant that you had to work hard to excel in whatever sport you were doing. You had to practice. You had to prepare. Well, you have to do the same thing in business. I used to practice in front of a mirror continually on motion. How can I make my motion better? Same thing, practice in business. How can I make things better in terms of the business?
It's a career rooted in sports. I mean, he was an intimidating pitcher with his fastball and his tall frame.
I hated to take batting practice against him because I heard the ball before I saw it. He threw so hard. And he always smiled. He knew what he was doing to me.
To strike somebody out in pitching is one of the most exhilarating feelings that exists because it's man against man.
And one day in the regional tournament, Jim pitched 2 games in one day, which was almost unheard of, but we were short of pitchers then, and he won them both, and we went to the state tournament. And Jim got the first full baseball scholarship to UK. Joe Dawson from Louisville and Jim got the first 2 UK ever gave.
In 1955, Jim declined an offer to sign with the Detroit Tigers and accepted one of the first baseball scholarships offered in University of Kentucky history. He was the first member of his family to go to college.
Jim set a very early baseline of achievement and wanting to do more and being the best that there was. And I think that really has to be at the core of what drives him, because it's not for a short period of time. This has been his entire life. This has been something that was ingrained in him at a very early age.
He doesn't want to just compete, he wants to be the best. And that's how Jim is, and that's how he's ran his organizations. They have to be the best. They don't want to be just a company in the running. They want to be the best company.